Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. It's a Sunday afternoon as I'm doing this, a gorgeous Sunday afternoon, and I have the Tarot of the Wandering Star on the tarot table for this reading. And we're looking today at two stories that seem intertwined. They possibly come from the same source, the same unnamed source, and they're hinting, or not even hinting, they're pronouncing quite loudly that the king is ready for a truce with Harry. That's the story we'll be looking at next. And then also that the Parkles are considering returning to England. Not part-time, not for the Invictus Games, not to hang out and celebrate the 40th birthday. It looks as if full-time they are considering returning to England permanently. And this comes from In Touch magazine, which I know many people call Out of Touch magazine, but it's one of those go-to sources allegedly for Meghan Markle. And this story came out immediately after the triumphant tour of Colombia. And yes, I'm using that term in inverted commas. But it says that Harry and Meghan are considering returning to England. They want to come home. And then it cites all the flops that they have experienced recently. Josh Kettler resigning, the inquest into Archewell, the probe into Archewell, as it's called, uses that word. The disappointments with Spotify and Netflix, the visa issue, their various business flops. That's my word, not theirs. So it gives this long list of calamities that have befallen the Parkles. And then it says, and now I am quoting, the simplest way for Harry to get the protection he wants is to become a working member of the royal family again. Doing so would facilitate a return to the kind of work he loves most. Harry and Meghan look forward to travelling more. It's hugely important to them to meet directly with people, to bring solutions, support, and positive change. You can imagine who wrote that word salad. And then it says, it's what Harry was raised to do. So we're going to have a look at this sort of pronouncement that the Parkles are on their way back after their triumphal tour of Colombia. They have realized their true calling in life, their true vocation is to tour and uplift and bring joy and hope and bongo drums to the oppressed masses of the world. This is what Harry is born to do. It's what Meghan herself does brilliantly. It goes on to remind us that the royal family is short of working members of the royal family and can do with an injection of Parkle power and all of that nonsense that we've seen over and over again. But I think it's worth looking at, and the only reason I think it's worth looking at is because of the truce story, the story that I'm going to look at next. So I want to know what's going on with Harry and Meghan. Are they really ready to call it quits in California and give up with that American dream and go back to dreary royaling? But not in the UK, of course. It would be travelling the world in the way that they have become accustomed. Private jets, sort of somewhat dodgy politicians. That's my opinion. And let's remind you, it's all tarot and it's for fun and entertainment, especially on a Sunday afternoon. And it's just my opinion, just speculation. Just read energy here. You know the drill. There is a disclaimer in the box below. I want to know what's going on. Are they that desperate? And they think they did so well in Colombia and Nigeria that the royals would welcome them back with open arms and say, yes, of course you can have your North Korea style cavalcade and fly all over the place and represent us because you do it so brilliantly well. They've got the Seven of Swords in reverse as the underlying energy. That's an interesting card, to put it mildly. It's a card of wrongdoing. It's very often a card that shows up when someone has ghosted someone, just disappeared. It's in reverse, which means crawling back after you've ghosted someone, after you have maybe done the dirty. and now you have to come back, crawling back, and confess you're exposed, your wrongdoings are exposed. It's quite interesting that this should show up as the underlying energy. I wouldn't think that either of the Parkles would think that they had done anything wrong, that they had been found out, but it's showing up anyway from universe as the underlying energy of this reading. So let's see the scenario we are dealing with, the situation facing the Parkles, reading from their perspective. And we have the Knight of Wands in reverse as Harry's energy, often shows up as the Knight of Wands, the red-haired prince, not in this tarot deck because it's quite a woke one, the Rising Star, the Wandering Star tarot, sorry. The Knight of Wands traditionally in tarot is what's known as the player, especially when it's in reverse. Hot-tempered, erratic energy comes wandering in and galloping in and then disappears just as quickly. That's its kind of energy, very volatile, very hot-headed and impetuous and angry, and it's shown up. It's also a card of international travel, of moving home, of journeying and wandering, literally with an A and not an O. I don't think he is capable of wandering with an O, wandering. But so in reverse, it tells me that the hot-headed, hot-tempered prince does want to go back, go home. And so, yeah, there's some truth in this. This is the situation we're dealing with, and he can just decide this and not consult with anyone else and just roll in around his 40th birthday with it, inheritance dangling, or not inheritance from the trust fund, his pot of gold. Problem. What is the problem? We've got the High Priestess in reverse. That would be, I would say, Megan. It's meant to be about intuition and our wisdom, as it says, and the spirit world and all of that. It's secrets. Doesn't say that on that card, I don't think. It's about secrets, the High Priestess, mysteries and secrets, mysteries and in the sense of initiation and that kind of thing. It's in reverse. Somebody who doesn't know, isn't connected with spirit, doesn't have any spiritual resources, is not capable of listening to their own intuition, need an agent, a third party to talk to the spirit world. We know how that goes down. Allegedly, doing her yoga, she gets messages from beyond the veil, Madame does. The messages from beyond the veil might not agree that they need to go back to England. Just a curious kind of an energy that they might be trying to prompt this not to go back to England, but to get the half in, half out. That seems to me what's going on. If I wanted a card that represented half in, half out, I would get the Knight of Wands in reverse. And then we've got this Mummy Diana card because it's the yoga, and then these messages come from beyond the grave to the High Priestess in this situation, using that term metaphorically, not literally. But also I have secrets that would come out and would be exposed. And we have the card sitting here as our underlying energy, the Seven of Swords in reverse, of exposure, of having to answer to certain things. So the problem for them, long way round of saying this, I think they want half in, half out desperately. And I think they have a problem with secrets and exposure and being found out and being caught out and having to confess and having to own up to certain things. And one of the things the High Priestess represents is pregnancy, because it's a mystery. And so, lots to ponder in that little collection of cards for me as a tarot reader and energy reader, for me, in my opinion, and all of that speculating, blah, blah, you know the drill. What's at the root of this declaration that they're going back? They're such good royals, so good at royaling, traveling the world royaling. Why are we hearing about this now? What's at the bottom of this? Really, we've got the Three of Wands. It's the hope and expectation card. Waiting for things. It says adventure, action, all of that stuff. But waiting. It's a waiting energy. It's sending something out into the ether and waiting for it to bear fruit, waiting for it to manifest, waiting for it to come true. It's very much a travel energy, the Three of Wands, because normally it's somebody gazing out to see where there are ships, and the ships are on the horizon, coming or going. They can be doing whatever. But it is that expectation, that sense that this can now develop and prosper. Nothing else has prospered. That's the past energy, the list of woes that this article reminded us of, all the things that have gone wrong for the Parkles, the various flops. Still needing something to monetize, something to bear fruit, something to be able to boast about and say, see, we're so brilliant at this. Even this article is Three of Wands. It is sending this message out and waiting for it to bear fruit. Message out to Pa, we're ready to come back. You need us. See, we were brilliant in Bogota and wherever else we were, waiting for the phone to ring. So let's see what their intention is. What's their goal? What do they want to achieve? And I've got the Eight of Wands, and it's in reverse, and they are blocked. They are blocked from traveling to the proper places, and no disrespect to the countries they've been to. Royals, other royals have been to those countries, but it wasn't a royal tour. It was a sad shambles. It was a poor imitation of the real thing. Their passage is blocked. That's the Eight of Wands. They can't get through to Pa on the phone. Pa doesn't have a mobile phone. Pa doesn't take calls from them. We've heard that. He's not taking their calls. That's the Eight of Wands in reverse. Their path is blocked back into royaling. Nobody wants them. William doesn't want them. Charles doesn't want them. Nobody wants them. None of the rest of the royals seem to want them. The Brits don't want them back. I think there would be another riot if the Parkles suddenly came back into the fold and were sent off representing the British people to somewhere. So everything is blocked. All of their ventures are blocked. All of their aspirations have come to nothing. And they're trying to force their way through this, out of this stagnant energy of the roadblock energy that they've got going, both with their own endeavours and with their royaling endeavours and with communicating with the royals. So this is a message that has gone out, and that's why we've got this Three of Wands down here in the root of this reading, this message going out. We want half in, half out. We want to come back on our own terms. You have to give us the full security. You have to give us the IPP status, and you have to let us be roaming royals. We're not going to stick in dull old Britain. That's the message that's coming through here. Tell me about the past. Past is the Four of Cups. It's the rejection that they've experienced. All of their attempts at making jam, rosé wine, films for Netflix, Pearl, you name it. It's been a flop. It's been toned down. They have failed. It's a kind of indifference, apathy, boredom, lethargy, but rejection as well. That people aren't excited by them, they haven't got the following, the enthusiasm, the acclaim that they thought they were going to get. It hasn't worked out the way they were expecting it to go, both from their perspective and from other people's perspectives as well. It's just been a giant nothing burger. It's been boring, it's been lackluster, their performance, and possibly even their own experience of it has been not as they imagined it would be. And that goes for both of them. I'm not feeling either of theirs energy, particularly in this card, is coming through as both their energy. I think Meghan expected the world to go, or life to be quite different in California than it's turned out to be. And I think Harry expected it to be quite different as well. If I was going to pick one, I'd say her, because there she is under that tree. Remember that Miss and Harriman photo of her allegedly pregnant with Lilibet. She was lying on the grass under that tree, which he photoshopped in allegedly. We don't know for sure, with Archie lying on that bump, a most implausible position at that late stage of pregnancy. shall we say, allegedly again, and let's move to the future. The near future, what's going to happen? Are we hearing them selling up at Mudslide Mansion and the moving vans are rolling out? And guess what, Pa? We're back at Frogmore Cottage because Prince Andrew hasn't moved down the road into Frogmore Cottage and it's still vacant. What's going to happen? I've got the Six of Cups in reverse. Boo-hoo, you might say. That welcome home, no. You can see the words there yourself: childhood, reconciliation, harmony, all those lovely things. The good old days, the playmates, the happy days, the memories. No, it's in reverse. One of the main meanings of that Six of Cups is reconciliation, reuniting with people from the past, and it's in reverse. They are not going to manifest this. However many messages they send out, three of ones, through these tabloidy type of magazines like In Touch, roadblocked, and they're not going to burst through it with this kind of messaging, with this kind of pronouncement. We were so brilliant in Bogota that you can send us wherever. Send us to Russia, send us to Iran, send us to, I don't know, where all the hot spots in the world are, and we'll sort it all out. Remember, we were going to have Putin and the Pope on that Spotify thing on archetypes, and who can forget that? So they can go forth. And what did they say? It was their purpose in life. It's hugely important to them to meet directly with people, to bring solutions, support, and positive change. I would like to know, and I mean this most sincerely, I would like to know what solutions the Parkles have brought to anyone. Yes, they have set up a website for bereaved parents of children who were bullied online. It's hardly a solution. Support, minuscule, given all the millions of other similar kinds of things that are really actually useful and supportive. Positive change? Really? The Parkles? What positive change have they brought to the world? What positive change? I used to have a post office box, but no more, because we don't have a postal system in the world. Otherwise, I would say you could send it to me on a postcard. But no, you can't, because our postal system does not work in South Africa anymore. But let us forget about that and move on to Harry and Meghan. I'm going to ask each of theirs feelings about this now. How does Harry feel about going back to Blighty? Sorry, didn't mean that, just slipped right out, to do some light roiling. The Fool in reverse. I said in return. Freudian slip, the Fool in return. And that's a new start. That's exuberance and innocence and the leap of faith and starting over. It's in reverse. I think that he knows that this is not going to fly. I think he knows in his heart of hearts it's not going to happen. There is no chance of a do-over, starting fresh. I think that this whole thing is possibly coming from Madame. Madame is a great manifester, the great believer in the power of magical thinking, that this might be her push to make this happen. He doesn't seem to think it's possible. In fact, the Fool in reverse is about doing stupid things, and I know this particularly because it showed up yesterday in a reading, frisky business reading, doing stupid things. And being very stupid. He might just realise that it's too late. How about herself? Let's see, let's test this theory. What do we get? We got the Queen of Swords here. Meghan's feelings about going back. She's very, very angry. She's angry at a whole lot of things. This is my opinion and speculating and all of that stuff. Energy, reading, blah, blah. Upright, the Queen of Swords, is about wisdom and insight. Yes, truth, yes, ambition, but she's very clear-headed. She's insightful, she's shrewd, wise, tempered over time, experienced and skillful in the ways of the world and dealing with people. The late Queen Elizabeth is the Queen of Swords. In reverse, wanting to have a kind of a jab at her. This feels very personal to me. This feels like you said we couldn't have half in and half out. And I could fill in a sort of quite a nasty descriptive word that she might use for the late Queen. Insulting term, perhaps, is better. You said it. You are to blame, you and William, because we know she hates Prince William and blames him for bullying them out of the royal family. Guest speaker in the New York Post comments section. But this is, you're gone now, and I'm going to get my way. My revenge on you. And we know it's a dish best served cold. And if the Queen of Swords in reverse is one thing, she is cold. She's cold-hearted. Cold-hearted. And this is what's really motivating her. It's something that she wants to do, I believe, and this is my sense of this, my energy, my intuition telling me this. It's kind of vindictive. So that's how I'm seeing this. I don't get that Harry believes this is possible. I believe that she's motivated out of some kind of wrath and venom and vindictiveness. That's a better word than wrath and venom. Let's scratch those and say vindictiveness, and that is my opinion, of course. And it's very interesting to me that the Queen of Swords showed up in readings I did yesterday, where I wanted to know how the trip to Colombia was going to play out in future, what impact it was going to have on the Parkles and their quasi-royaling, and I got this card upright. She truly believes that this is her purpose and her future, to be a diplomat, to be a roving ambassador for truth and justice and goodwill and all that stuff that she preaches but doesn't practice, in my opinion. Let's move on before I get quite hot under the collar, and let's remind you this is all my opinion and all allegedly and all speculation, and let's see hopes and fears for the Parkles. What are we dealing with? Want to be working royals again? We need to do something. 8 of Pentacles. We hope we can slide back in there and get some of that lovely loot that the royals have access to, and we can not have to worry about who's going to pay for Mudslide Mansion, the upkeep, the maintenance, the redecorating the kitchen. And what else do they have to do? Who's going to feed the chickens? Who's going to walk the dog? Who's going to mend the pipes that have broken? Don't have to worry about that. Who's going to pay the mortgage? Who's going to pay for security? Royals have got some spare cash now. Well, the king has, seeing as he's taken the paid for security away from Prince Andrew. Slide it our way, and we'll be working royals again. How's it going to go? What are we going to see next or hear next? We know chances of reconciliation are rather slim in the near future. But what's the outcome of this little proposal that's been slid the royals' way? Banishment. 5 of Pentacles. There is no way in hell that they're going to be let back in. I'm relieved to see that card, I have to say. But it's a very vivid. It couldn't be more clear for the Parkles that they are out, and they are out, and they are out, and they will never be allowed back in. 5 of Pentacles, outcast, exile, banishment, poverty, ruin, left out, absolutely. Struggle, hardship, loss, and worse, as I say, banishment, exile. So it's pretty clear that they want to come crawling back for their half in, half out. The main motivator of this story is Meghan. I don't think Harry believes that it's possible. With this Fool card in reverse, this is all coming from her trying to push this narrative. As far as I can tell, it's coming from her. And as I say, especially in the context of In Touch magazine. So I think we know where it's coming from and why it's coming. There's money problems, directionless, aimless, broke. That's my summation of their situation. And the big door slam there with the 5 of Pentacles. No way that she's going to manifest this. Thank goodness. That's the reading. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.